Mother, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is Friday. It is Friday. It is Friday. And yesterday, while trying to figure out, I went to actually work with some clients and that got canceled. So as I was on my way home, I was talking to one of my mentees when I learned that someone who was dearly beloved in our community suddenly passed away. And I was so devastated. I literally was grateful. See, everything happens, I believe, firmly for a reason. I was so grateful that my work schedule didn't pan out the way it was supposed to. I went home, climbed into my bed, and went to sleep. And was up until almost 1 o'clock this morning because once I awakened 2 hours later, it was difficult for me to go back to bed. This is the third person in as many weeks that have died suddenly in their 40s. I will not post about this person until either the family post or after the funeral. I just believe in being super respectful. And I have consistently said to people when someone dies, give the family some time to do what they need to do before it is plastered all over the internet now. The people that I did see posted last night were people who were so close to her, they were like sisters. And so I understood that. But once they posted, once those two people posted, then everybody else felt it was okay to say what was on their mind. And listen, I'm not look, I don't have a room to put anybody in. I'm just doing my own, I'm following my own edict of not posting until the family posts or someone else does, or, or after the funeral. When Lavonda died, I never said who it was that passed away, just that I was devastated. And after her funeral, then I posted her pictures, etc. It is, I don't know what's going on. I just don't. And I don't pretend to understand. But um, every single time I get this feeling in my gut, and it happened 2 days ago. My husband was like, "What's going on?" I kept feeling it, and I kept feeling it, but I just never expected it. I just thought it was the craziness that was going on in the country, or maybe I was telling myself it wasn't another death because I just got tired of it. And so unable to sleep. I woke up at around 5:45 yesterday evening and unable to sleep. I was just doing laundry, talking to God. I found a thing that she had made for me. Ooh. Right after I left the radio station on July 28th, I had a women's luncheon. Y'all forgive me. Didn't think this was going to happen. I had a women's luncheon, and all these women showed up in 2 weeks. Andrea Robin Manley, God bless her soul, was the one that curated all of it because I could not believe all of this was happening in such a short period of time. And this person came, but not only did she come, 2 days after the luncheon, she asked if I could have breakfast with her. So her, myself, and my daughter, Janelle, we all met at a restaurant, Amina's downtown. So say front and second. And she pulled out a bag, and in the bag, Mr. Sanders, if you're listening to me, it's sitting on the bed. Can you bring that thing to me, please? She pulled out a bag, and in the bag was this box. And on top of the box, it said, "For the days when whew, you feel like you need some support, here are some words from women who love you." And I opened the box, and whew, there were dozens of messages from so many of you. And all of you had written, and sometimes you had your picture on the back. Some of the women that sent messages were only friends of mine on Facebook. She had gone into social media and to email and started emailing all these women unbeknownst to me to ask them if they could find a way to help support me in the middle of all of what I was going through. Not only did she do that, she began sharing with me she said, Andrea, the minute I saw what was happening to you, I knew what was going on. And she began sharing with me some of the things that she had been dealing with. And I just sat there and looked at her and I cried. I cried and I cried and I cried and I couldn't thank her enough. And she said, listen, there are plenty of people in the city that wants to help you, that are trying to figure out how to support you. Let us. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So this is the box. It says, open when you need to feel the love you have sown into others for yourself, your village. This is what she had curated for me, right? And so when I heard, I just, whew, I, so many of you, and I couldn't figure out how to open the boxes. I am having a hard time trying to open it now. So many of you had taken the time. You curated. I can't. So this box is. It's so, but I can't figure out how to open it. It's probably because I'm upset. Here it is. Um, and the first thing that was on there was her, and I'm not gonna. She says, I have told you personally, your voice and your spirit is so very necessary in this world. Your authenticity and truth telling nature is precious and should be celebrated. I hope you feel as though these notes and outpouring did just that. I'm excited to see what you do next. And then there are just all these notes, just all these notes. Oh, and to those of you who took the time to send these notes, thank you. I consider myself lucky to have met Andrea. She is so passionate in the ways that she cares about people. She moves with empathy and grace in measures not many people can fathom. It's why I love her deep. This is from Andrea Manley. I don't even know Michelle Aaron. I'm not sure if she and I met. She says, I love when you trust the process and encourage others to do the same, despite having your own challenges that no one knows about while you are encouraging others. God is up to something. God bless you and continue to trust the process. Can't wait for the reveal. And it was just this sister did all of this for me. This sister curated all of this to make sure that I was okay. And on the days when it is just ridiculously awful, I open this box from this sister and I read these notes. Oh my God. Andrea, I am writing to express my sincere admiration for your strength, humility, love for people, zest for life, and selflessness are truly inspiring. I wanted to take this opportunity to encourage you to continue shining brightly. May the Lord continue to guide your steps and direct your path as you journey through life. Janelle Hobbs. I had not seen Janelle Hobbs in years, years, but she was one of the people that wrote this. When I first met you, I told myself, is this lady for real or is this an act? Over time, I've watched your actions and came to realize you are the real deal. You wear your heart on your sleeve while at the same time showing tremendous strength. I'm proud to know you and call you friend. Tiffany McIntyre. And it just goes on and on and on and on. People I hadn't seen in years or met or even met in person. Some people sent me things I had never met before in this life. And so she left me with this gift. A lot. It's a lot. And so after we had gone to Lavanda's funeral, I looked at Denise and I said, I'm not going to another one. Oh, I gotta go to the sister's funeral. Because what she left behind for me, and there are just plenty of notes. I still have more notes in the box. from all of you. And so she took the time to remind me and to encourage me that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then I learned she passed away suddenly. I am, I have a bunch of mentees. They're all in their 30s and 40s. You may never know who some of them are because I'm incredibly quiet and very protective of all of them. And when they call or they need something, they'll send a Morse code and they'll go, Marva, let's talk. They're 34, 35, 37, 41, 42, and they struggle like hell sometimes because many of us are so unkind. And I've consistently said, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. I would apologize for crying, y'all, but I got to get this out because it is just too damn much. Too much. It's too much. And I am exhausted by all of it. And so another friend who, used to be on social media a lot, doing a whole lot of great things, this kind of disappeared. So I reached out some months ago and was stunned to hear all that she had been going through. So I began talking to her. She and I had a really long conversation. And yesterday I checked in on her and she said, I so appreciate this. But what I said to her was, I am so exhausted that it's hard to be in the public eye. It really is. It is not a wonderful space. People think that folks are always there. People who are saying the nicest things up front and behind you, they're just ripping you apart. So I understand what it's like to be in the public eye. And as a direct result, when I get off the air, I go about my business. I try not to be seen in certain rooms, none of that stuff, right? And so I said to her, I transparently shared, I said, I am so exhausted that on next week, Memorial Day, I'm taking Monday and Tuesday off. In June, I'm taking a week off. In July, I'm taking a week off. In August, I'm taking a week off. I said, because I am so exhausted that if I continue this way, and not physically exhausted, but emotionally exhausted. And she said to me, when you want to quit, rest. When you feel like it's too much, rest. And that was my confirmation to take the time off for myself because it's just a lot, right? Behind this green screen is so much media equipment, it's ridiculous. We're like trying to figure out how we navigate. The third season of A Lawful Truth podcast is coming out. I so adore all of you. I so adore all the things that you call and ask about. I got a text message at 10 o'clock last night that says, can you please cover this subject? And I was like, it's on my radar. I got it. I'm just trying to navigate through, little by little, giving you what you need, while at the same time trying to make sure that I take care of myself. And so I'm telling you all, as you navigate and move through and do what you have to do, take the time to rest. Take care of yourselves without apology. So, Memorial Day with my grandchildren. Tuesday, I'm sleeping. I'm just, you know, because the consistent drumbeat of bad news, the consistent drumbeat of people just passing away suddenly. I have a theory, but I'm not willing to share it yet, right? The consistency. So, for those of you who are doing everything that you can every day, taking care of elderly parents, making sure you're taking care of your children, going to work, being everything to everybody, it's okay to shut the shiggity down and just rest. And just rest. It's okay. It truly is. Whew. And I know sometimes as you're navigating, people feel like they're so unkind or that they're ripping you off or they're not being their true selves. But remember, for every assumption, that we make about people, remember, there's something we don't know. There's something we are missing. If we think they're just, not doing the right things, if we think they're just awful, if they think, oh, my spirit just won't listen, just listen. Listen to your heart. You don't have to be in their circle, but know that every single person that is in your sphere, and out of it are just dealing with a whole bunch of stuff that we know nothing about. And just because they don't share it with you doesn't mean that it's not happening. I promise you. Okay? Here comes Council Member Anthony Phillips. Let me gather my edges and gather myself. Who, Black Jesus. Mm-mm-mm. And I want to take this time to thank the women, especially. I was trying to find someone to do some mugs for me, and they couldn't get. Oh no, just still waiting. Trying to figure it out. And I reached out to the sister that does my sneakers, and she says, "Marva, I got you. Give me 4 days, baby." So sometimes we try to fit things in where they don't fit. And she has such a style and a flair. I know my mugs and my t-shirts are going to be all that and a bag of chips, right? But I can't keep. I've been, using bottles with the labels taken off. I want to market my stuff in a way that makes sense. Um, and just so you know, it's just the right thing to do. So I'm excited about that. Season 3 of the podcast starts on June 3rd. And so my team, Serena Martin is all that and 5 bags of Frito chips. I'm telling you. Eric Nixon, Hania, Denise James. We're just all pulling together, making sure we have what we need. I have a really good interview this morning at 11 o'clock because of my team members. So just hold on. Season 3 will be here shortly. Okay. Let me let Councilmember Anthony Phillips in. Ooh, child. Good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Dr.
Good
Phillips.
morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. Good to see you, Andrea.
Good to
Miss
see you
Andrea, you doing
too.
okay?
How are you
Huh?
doing, my brother?
Oh, I'm doing well. Doing well. Excited to be done with school. For life.
You were quietly writing a dissertation,
Yeah.
being a city council member and losing weight all at one time. Now
Yeah.
that's the trifecta.
Yes. Yes. It's still done with school and still working on losing even more weight. So I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
not done yet. It's taken a while to do this, but
yeah.
I'm happy it's finally happening. I mean, I think I woke up in one day and I just said, you know
Anthony,
what?
you sound really slow. I'm sorry,
Oh,
not slow. Low, 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 low. You
low,
sound
low.
really
Let me
low.
let me get let me talk a little louder.
Yes.
I woke up one morning and I was like looking at these pictures of myself, and I said, "Wow, I keep taking pictures, and I'm getting larger. So I need to do something about it, right?" And
Yeah,
so I just started to, really hold my appetite a little bit, and then go to the
yeah.
gym. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My doctor says I'm doing this the hard way, but the more long-term way, which is exercise and diet. Hey, this is not for the faint of heart, right?
No, no, right. Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
it's one of those things, and so excited. But we are here. We're getting close to the end of council.
Yes.
June 12th is the last day,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have council this past Thursday. But I just wanted to share that the reason why we didn't have council on Thursday is because normally there's no council after election day. And
Okay.
so election day, we were on Tuesday. We only seen about a 16%, 15% turnout rate
Yeah.
in the city of
Actually, it's
Philadelphia.
14, Councilmember Phillips. It's
14, even
crazy.
worse.
14. I'm gonna keep calling you Dr. Phillips. I need to get accustomed to that.
They, oh
Uh,
wow, thanks. But 14% turnout rate in the Philadelphia area, which is abysmal. Let's compare this to other municipalities and states. In recent elections, you know, a lot of states like Ohio, state of Ohio.
Dr. Phillips,
They,
you sound really low.
oh wow, what is going on here? Let me see if I can fix that.
Because I can barely hear him, Wayne, so I know you guys can't. Unless
Okay.
you come on over to
Uh,
YouTube.
you know what? Let me try to enter on my. Okay, I'm gonna log. This is gonna take 1 second. One
Okay.
second.
All right. Okay. Because I want you all to. They're telling you congratulations.
Oh, they
Marguerite
are.
says
Thank
Dr. Phillips' now sculpted face is displaying his amazing smile.
you.
Child, the compliments are coming. All right. He's going to come back in. Give me a second. Alexandra says, Marvel, you absolutely correct. After your show ended yesterday, I was informed a coworker passed away, but a Monday morning, Doug was kind and quiet that we didn't know his dad didn't recently passed away. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. Thank you all for, you can hear him well, Laura, because you're on YouTube, right? Which is pumping through my Riverside app. Those that are listening from Facebook and Instagram can hardly hear him. So he's going to come back in. I want to thank you all for giving me the space and the grace to let my tears fall this morning because it is just, it's a lot. Love on people, judge less. I promise you, even if they seem unlovable, there's something that they're going through, right? There's something that they're going through. So here he comes back again. Hold on one second. Let's see. Oh, much better. What the hell was going on with that other?
I don't know what's going on. Clearly, it has to be fixed. So
Yes.
I will work on that one. I end. But no, yeah. So no, what I was trying to say earlier is that we 14% turnout rate is abysmal compared to other states and municipalities who hover around at least 50%
Did you
throughout
say
for
50?
elections. So clearly,
Wait, did you say
yeah,
50?
yep. That and honestly, 50%. Yep. So we have a lot of work to do, and I think here's what we can do. First of all, did we I think one of the highest turnout rates the nation has seen for a presidential election, a national election, hovered around 70%. And we haven't seen that since the early 2000s. So we never really get close to 100, but we do at least have above average, right? Or no, above half of the percentage of voters. And for us, I think that here's what we have to reflect on as a city and electeds is like we have to make a decision to begin going door to door informing people about the importance of elections. Now, whether or not they receive that information or not, that's on them, right? But at least there's an effort there to let people know that there's an election coming out. So even myself, I didn't go door to door this time as I did in the presidential election. I will make that decision going forward. To hold myself accountable for every election, just go door to door to make sure people know about the election, especially in divisions that are not in my neighborhood, right? Particularly in divisions that might be wards and divisions that really normally have a lower turnout. And I think that if we strategically just pick, we all just say, hey, I'm going to do as like public servants and leaders who care about this, I'm going to do this many divisions, you're going to do this many divisions. Hey, we may see a spike in turnout because people have asked you to go out and vote.
Hmm.
But also I think that the thing is, people recently, city council, we got criticized by the Philadelphia Inquirer for sending out this brochure booklet about some of the things that we're doing in the community.
I saw that
They're saying,
brochure
is that
booklet. Yeah. Hmm.
self-promotion? Yeah, yep. They were like, is that self-promotion or is that, whatever, right?
So,
I
so,
think we
so,
do it only
so,
because a lot of
so,
times people say they don't know who we are.
that's exactly it, right? So when I saw it, I didn't see it as self promotion. What I said was, oh my God, they're finally putting out something that lets the people know exactly who they are and they have a face to the name. They can see where their district person is. Um, and it was beautifully laid out. Now, as I soon as I saw this, like somebody's going to fuss and complain that this is self promotion. But here's the thing: we want people to come out and vote, and I get how important voting is, but the people need to know who the hell they're voting for, right? And what the people they're voting for are
Mm,
actually doing. So there needs to be some sort of report card from every city council person, not just on election day, but every year, either before election time or at the end of the year. As your city council member, these are the things that I accomplished, right? The same thing for the district attorney,
yep.
the same thing for our sheriff, the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? The only group who probably can't do it are the judges, because once they
Mm,
become judges, they have to, remain quiet. But dear God Almighty, you want people to come out and vote, you tell them that. Right. And you don't have to put out a mail, or you can put it on
yes.
social media. You can, let other people share it on your behalf. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And so it's like we are trying to we have to do our part to get people to understand what local government is doing, which is why we did that publicity around with that mailer and that
Mm-hmm.
book that a lot of people got about what city council is doing, because people are saying they're disenchanted with government. Okay, cool. If you can at least show that government is working as opposed to not working,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe people can say, okay, well, we like the things that you're doing. However, we want to see more of this, but at least we know that you're doing something, right? As
Right.
opposed to not doing something. And I
Right.
think that people, we have to find a way to, that number two part is like continue to get the message out, that government can be effective as long as you're present. Like I just
Right.
literally had a neighbor who, not a neighbor, well, a resident who is in our district, who contacted us about something about abandoned housing, right? And how there needs to be more stringent policies around abandoned homes, because oftentimes, like, he has this neighbor has a home that is abandoned next to him, and in this home, it's been abandoned for years at this point. The person pays the property taxes every single year, but they continue to rack up on license and inspections violations, and they
Mm-hmm.
kind of pay them too, or they delay the payment of them, and they never repair the house. So meanwhile, this neighbor has to sit through this terrible home through the roof, infestation, all that and more. And they're like, can you look into doing something about changing that policy? Just because you pay the property taxes does, and you're getting these violations, and you kind of pay the violation, but you're not fixing it, like, you got to
But if
lose
you
that
can
home at
afford to
some
pay
point,
the
right?
property
And I
taxes, and if you can afford to pay the property, there's a delay on your end, or mine. If you can afford to pay the property taxes and the violation, why not fix the house, right? So,
and that's why if you can't afford to do any of that, you can't afford to keep the house, basically, right? And so, but some people just keep the house anyway, even though they can't afford to do the maintenance on the house, which is not fair to the residents that have to live around that
mm-hmm.
particular house,
Mm-hmm.
because the house starts deteriorating.
Mm-hmm.
So you start thinking about the fact that, like, okay, what can we do to make things like that better? And I say that because that neighbor is an engaged person. So
Mm-hmm.
they're able to voice something that's important to them, and that requires me to at least to go and investigate that particular issue. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that if you really try to voice something to the right council person, a right state representative, state senator, right? They're going to listen to you and try their best to investigate it.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you don't have that right person who may not listen or at least try, I tell people I'm going to at least try to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, then you need to find a way to engage yourself to vote for the person that wants to listen to you and at least try, right? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people just say, well, I'm not going to say nothing to them at all. No one cares. But you won't know the impact of government until you
Mm-hmm.
actually engage yourself in
Right.
it. So that's
And
two.
hold the
Number
people,
three, I
and
think we got to start with we got to think about,
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, holding people accountable. Number three, I think we need to get young people engage better in this process. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about us doing more citywide campaigns with young people in middle school and high school, right? Ones who may not be as tainted by
the government process yet, right? Their parents may not be engaged, but we could find a way to get them excited. I think we've done sometimes these one time seminars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Presentations about voting, but I think that uh, I'm considering doing a constant presence in the schools about voting to the point where they're just so sick of hearing it, and they just love it. You know, they find joy in the idea of voting because this generation, you know, they might have made up the people in their 20s and 30s. They might have made up their mind right now about voting, right? But you know, young people who are in middle school and high school, they may not have made up their mind about voting. So you know, with those three things between, you know, finding ways to get us actively canvassing in the neighborhoods, that's one. Two, also, oh, I am losing.
Yes, you're losing.
Can
You're
you hear
losing
me?
your. I can hear you, but there's quite a
Yeah,
delay.
I was, there was a delay. So that's on my part. Hold on. I'm going to fix that right now.
Okay.
But yeah, one of the things that I'll say is that, oh, here it is. Here it is right there. Hopefully that helps. All right. Hopefully that helps a little bit. But yeah, one of the things that I'll say is that
Then I just lost you. Come on, Dr. Phillips. I just lost you. He's gonna have to come back in.
oh
Huh.
gosh. All right, there
Okay,
you go.
there you
Okay.
go.
I think I'm
Now you are. Yes. Mm-hmm.
uh,
Go ahead.
yes, now I'm here. Okay, I'm having all types of technology trouble today. I'll fix it
No
next time.
worries.
Um but yeah, I think those three things, canvassing number one, and there's still it looks like a delay.
No, you're good. You're way better.
Number way better. Okay. And then number two, after you do your canvassing, I think that we have to continue to inform the public
Mm-hmm.
about what we're doing as local government officials to get them excited about voting so they can
Mm-hmm.
see work is happening and listen to
Mm-hmm.
people and do what they ask. And
Mm-hmm.
then three, I think I'm gonna make a commitment. I'm gonna make a commitment, but I think everybody else needs to do it. I'm gonna ask them too to working more with young people in middle schools and high schools because the next generation can change this voter turnout rate. So
Yeah.
those
I
things
have
I'm thinking about.
I have always said that when we in leadership try to blame those who we're supposed to serve, it's because we truly do not want to look at ourselves, right? There's a lot of apathy
Mhm.
because people are calling for services and the services are not being rendered. They're
Mhm.
calling and people are hanging up on them. They're calling and they're just not getting what they need. And I'm going to use city council as an example. If you're a city council member and you have an office staff that's not responsive and then they reach out to you in the public and you say, I'll get back to you, somebody from my staff will get back to you, here's my card, and there's no follow through, then people are just like, What's the purpose?" And then when they put somebody up against them, that's when they come out the woodwork to start to show, oh, well, I'm going to figure out how to get, because I want to keep my job, my good benefits, etc. And so, and I'm not saying everybody is this way, because there's good leadership in city council, even as I'm using it as an example. But how can we get rid of the dead weight? Because when people even put someone up to challenge them, it's something else. They challenge their petitions in court. They make them feel like they've lost their minds. They hire lawyers instead of just doing your job. If you do your job, then this won't be an issue, right? So this paper that I'm saying, every city council, everybody that's run for office locally, that every year, at the end of every year, Sheriff Bilal is doing it. This is what we've done in the last year. It's not
Right.
difficult. You don't have to do a 500-page thing. Just do a one-sheeter, put it up on social media. It costs money to mail them out. I get that. But there are ways to get the word out to people. Show up in the community. Make sure that people see you, not just for photo opportunities, right? Or for press conferences, but this is what we've accomplished as a direct result. For instance, there was a shooting at Smith Playground. You did it so fast, I couldn't even come. Like, we are
Right.
having such and such and such and such, and you show up, which is why you continue to get invited to show up on a regular basis. Now that you finish school, I fully expect that you'll become even more engaged to try to be the example. I say all of this though, knowing that it will cost you something. There are people who want the status quo, and As a direct result, it is not easy. But nothing that we do on behalf of servitude for others is without a cost,
Mm.
right? Nothing is without a cost. So I'm imploring you to continue to do what you've always done and to keep ramping it up to be an example. Are you the council person for King High School and Martin Luther King High School?
I'm not. That is the Councilwoman Cindy Bass. However, what kind of gets me is that most of the students that are in our district, our neighborhood, go to King High School. So from like Mount Airy to West Oak Lane area, that's their feeder school,
That's their
and
catchment school. Mhm.
yeah, that's their catchment school. And I can't. I don't have as much. I don't know. I just don't have as much influence over that school as I would like, and that's not because of desire, right? It's just like I just don't. I mean, not because
Yesterday,
yeah.
yesterday I started getting a bunch of inboxes from teachers at Martin Luther King, and every last one of them said, "I know you don't know me, but thank you, thank you."
Wow.
Uh, they say that it is not that the teachers aren't willing; they want to. They can be impactful in their classrooms, but they just don't have the leadership, and nobody will talk about it. Um, we've got to figure out something. It is written all over my timeline. When you look at my bio, it says protects children. Y'all can do whatever else you want to do. But when it comes to children and the seasoned citizens, I call my elderlies, I have a special vested interest in making sure that when things are going on with them, I become involved because this is why we see young people walking around with dead eyes. They're walking through their neighborhoods. There's no their eyes are vacant, right? Because there's a feeling that nobody truly cares about what happens to them. They can be walking out in the street. Let me tell you something. In Abington, you would not them children would have to hide when they if they skip school. Do you hear what I'm telling you? They couldn't just
I
walk through the
understand.
streets, right? And
Wow.
so there is this feeling that, well, they and then when you look around you as you're driving, you see grown men, 20s, 30s, 40s, standing by the corner because they were not educated, right? There's no
Mm.
real jobs for them. There's no real hope and prospects for them. And it's not that they don't have brains and that they don't have hopes and aspirations. They were failed so many years ago. There are people who are able to pull themselves up out of that, but there's so many too that are not able to. And so when we talk about blight and scourge and what's going on in our communities, we never ever go back to point to who the hell failed them when they were children.
Mm. You said something, and not only that, if our young people don't have a model from their parents who also were failed, right, on what you should be doing as an adult, right? What a great adulthood looks like in terms of being ambitious, being excited, being engaged.
Mhm.
Sometimes these adults don't even know that you should be putting your kids at 4 or 5 years old in different programs and opportunities to
But
expose
that's
them.
because somebody failed them. I've had conversations with those adults. You had
Yeah.
a town hall meeting in one of those schools,
Oh yeah.
and I showed up, and there were so few parents in there, but the ones that came were like,
Yeah.
"Listen, I'm really trying my heart. Like, there has to be another way. There has to be another way." They're often working and trying to figure out their lives and trying to keep a roof over their heads, and they don't have working toilets. And like, I tried to see the big picture. Now, there's some people that are just ridiculously have lost their damn minds and are not taking care of their children and are out there doing whatever the hell they want to do, which is impacting everybody around them. But if we don't take care of the children that are feeling lost and left behind, they will burn our whole village down. Do you see how many shootings we've had in the last couple of weeks? With that involve children?
It's
What?
it's 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 yes, I have, and it's and not and one of them involved the killing of a rapper, that had turned his life around, right? And so and we hear from the teenager that did it was that, oh, we just wanted to randomly rob people. Why are you randomly robbing people, right?
Mhm.
And so It's hard for me because my grandmother grew up sharecropping,
Mhm.
being a maid. We didn't have much money in our family and household, so it's just like we just had to find a way to take the odd jobs that we can get and make a way. But now I guess people, and when you don't have much, they just like, oh, let's just go rob people and get money. But that's not the way. It causes you more stress for your
Mhm.
family when you do that. And I think that, yes, we got to find ways to get opportunities to people. But I will say there are sometimes there's opportunities for people. However, we got to mentally get them to say, you got to choose this opportunity. Why? Because you did not go to school, right? So you either going to do a trade, you're going to do a labor, or
Mhm.
you're going to take one of these. Hopefully, we can get this minimum wage up to like $20 an hour at
Mhm.
least, right? But you have to take one of these minimum wage jobs and then work your way up to a manager position, X, Y, Z. And that's the reality, and be okay with that, right? And not have to feel as though, I mean, I think honestly that this minimum wage fight, I feel like we're gonna win something eventually in the state house. I pray, but by the time we get $15 million, it's gonna be time for us to think about $20 an hour.
But
So
why are we still fighting? Why is it still the minimum wage still $7? You can't afford to can't buy a house. You can't afford to rent an apartment. You can't afford to pay for car insurance. Why is it okay for people to sit in these public spaces of authority and believe that this is okay?
yeah,
Right?
as an employer, honestly, there should be shame on those people. Who is like, you shouldn't be able to hire anybody if you're charging like below $10. You shouldn't even be able to have anybody work at your place. I mean,
Seriously.
I honestly, and I don't anybody that's like they'll I think they should just protest that job because there's other opportunities out here that could be better. So I'll give them that one. So
And the people who are increasingly wealthy, that are incredibly wealthy, never stop to think about the employees that they have underneath them. To just give, how much money can you absolutely make? After a while, as Will Smith says, you have more than enough money. After a while, you have more than enough gifts. After a while, you bought more than enough things. You have to
he
stick
did
with
say that, didn't
yourself.
he?
Yes, you have
He
to stick
did
with
say
yourself.
that.
If you don't like yourself, then you will consistently buy all kinds of foolishness and have a house full of things that you just don't even need or want. You done
Yes.
bought the helicopter, you bought the plane, you bought the. So it's not about the money, y'all. It is
Nope.
about the. It's literally about just having enough comfort. If 1% of the wealthiest people gave 1% of their money to, there would be no homelessness, there would be no hunger. So why is it okay for them to use the labor and truly not give back to the people? This country cannot. They can't stay wealthy without the labor.
You're
So
absolutely
so
right.
so so what is this?
Yep, I just thought about that. You're right. I mean, Will Smith literally said, like, I'm like, wow, like a rich man just said, after a while, you done brought
Yes,
everything. Like, what else is there to buy? You experienced everything in the world. What else is there to experience? So now it's about just happiness, and doing something. So I agree with that. And one of the things that we're gonna do on Philadelphia City Council, to help put money back in people's pockets, hopefully, is the state is responsible for child care worker funding. Our child care workers are probably among the lowest
they
paid
are.
individuals, and they're with our babies, right? The other thing, and so we need to explore how we as a city can support something that the state is supposed to do, right? With funding, they're not doing with increase to find a way to increase funding for our teachers.
Mhm.
The second thing is paying for childcare is like a mortgage now, right? So if you're not low income, and you're working class, that's a lot of money to be
It is.
getting out your money just for aftercare as well,
Mhm.
right? So, if we aftercare for a daycare can be as much as $200 a week, which would get you, well, $200 to $300 a week, we get you to like $600 to $700 a month, right? Just to, for the aftercare. And most people are maybe not be eligible to, to get financial assistance. And so we have to find ways to help people to keep money in their pockets, because that's a huge sacrifice for a lot of families, especially if you have more than one kid.
And two
Um,
hundred dollars a week is not a lot of money for the daycare people, because if you're
mhm,
keeping your children in aftercare from 4 or from 5 to 7 or whatever,
mhm.
plus 5 days a week, and sometimes daycare have to do it 6 to 7 days a week because of how people's schedules are. They're trying their best. My son and daughter-in-law, daycare for the twins, $5,000 a month.
Wow.
It's more than their mortgage payment.
Wow.
Right? But what I keep saying to them is, we will figure it out, because I understand what it is like to be a childcare worker and not getting what you need. Right? So there's a way around it. But how do we support parents who would have to do, which is why some quit their jobs? Mom either have to stay home to be with the children until they can go to preschool. Right? There's this conundrum that continues to cycle through, and we keep telling people, figure it out, get over it. As someone says, call your grandmother. Who said that? Trump? Somebody said it. Let the
Right.
grandmothers do what they need to do. Yo, sir, grandmothers are still working. Okay.
Right. No, and that was it. My grandmother raised me. Now I
Yeah.
know why. I used to be like, I want to go on the Disney. I want to go on the camp that you can see on the Disney Channel. Now I know why my mom couldn't send me to the camp that was on the
Yeah.
Disney Channel.
Yeah.
So we also had three ballot questions, in case people didn't know,
Yes, they
that
all
were,
said yes, right?
yeah, they all say yes to, and they're going to basically be fiscal and programming and services watchdogs
Mm-hmm.
for prisons and also housing, and
Mm-hmm.
then also we're going to make developers pay their share to the housing trust.
Okay,
So,
but here's the thing, that I asked. If you're making them pay their fair share to the housing trust, where is that money going? Because when I read the ballot questions, it said the
mhm.
money that's in the housing trust can be used for anything, not just housing.
Oh, no, it should be utilized for housing needs. So wait,
See,
hold
being
on,
able
wait.
to read is a dangerous thing.
It is a dangerous thing. It should be anything around housing. I'm confused about that. Okay.
That
I
that
would have
the
to. I would do a little bit more research
Yeah,
on that.
yeah,
And I talked to Jamie Gadier, who
yeah.
sponsored it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that those things are important to share with everyone. Also,
Mm-hmm.
we only have, though, the special committee on gun violence. Well, they have new members that
Mm-hmm.
was started, and new members that are going to be a part of that special committee on gun
Mm-hmm.
violence that was recently appointed by Council President Kenyatta Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so hopefully, the special committee comes up with new ideas around how to prevent gun violence in the city of
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Alexandra says, you, Dr. Phillips, are the voice on behalf of the children at MLK to speak to Council Member Bass.
Okay. I mean, I'm not laughing at her.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know, I know, I
So
know.
I will do my very best. I will
Yeah,
do my very
yeah,
best and see what
mm,
see what can be done there.
yeah, yeah.
There, but I will tell you that in Philadelphia City Council, depending on the council member,
Mm.
there's always a lot of territorial battles. So it's like you
You
kind of
mind
don't.
your business in your
You,
in
and,
your city.
and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
Hmm.
if you're
Hmm.
fighting, you're not going to get anything done anyway,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
now it's like you just start fighting as opposed to working together. And
Hmm.
I'm a person that's like, hey, you want to come into our district and you want to work with me on something, let's do it.
Let's do
Like,
it.
let's
Yeah.
let's knock this out together, because at the end of the day, we gotta get something great for our children,
Well, listen to
and
this. I read this stat before. 45% of Philadelphia adults can't read. We need to make sure
wow.
our children know how to read. Not educated equals criminal. I said the same thing. I found that even those in our leadership that wants to become leaders, that want people to get out, come in and vote for them. They can't speak a coherent sentence. They've got staff people working on their behalf, but they can't figure out how to put that into to voice that into their meetings. There's a
Mm.
lot of uneducated people floating around us, right? And it's one thing to be able to read the words, it's quite another to comprehend it. But if 45% of Philadelphia adults can't read, we have a bunch of walking illiterates, which is why I'm so focused on these damn schools. Children are getting good grades for just attendance. You show up, you get an A or a B. Don't worry about the teacher not being there. I'm not making this stuff up, Dr. Phillips. I'm going to keep calling you Doctor too. Let me tell you, I'm going to say it until it just sinks into these people's heads because you
I
worked. And so you're
think.
thoughtful in the way you think through these things. Alexandra says, Councilman Phillips, if they can't read, you can't fill out an application for a job regardless of what it pays. These young adults have been pushed through the Philadelphia school district. That's the other thing. They don't apply for jobs because they can't comprehend or read what the job says. I remember
Mm.
someone said something to me that says birth date, and they wrote Capricorn.
Mm.
So it sounds wonderful to tell people that they should just go ahead and apply to get these
Ooh,
jobs. They can't
Capricorn.
comprehend what it is that's on that paper, and oftentimes they can't read it. The
And
school
then not only
systems are
not only
failing
that,
them.
not only that, people do apply for jobs, but then they apply for jobs that are not that like are really stretch opportunities for them, right? And they because they don't present themselves well. So
Oh,
it's
that's the
like
other thing.
they
Jesus.
need everything. They need everybody. That's why we're gun ho on setting up this job training center in our district because and I've been committed to that because I really feel as though that we got to give people opportunities to get better at making themselves look good.
Can
And then
you make
also
me
the other
aware?
thing that
Can you make me aware so that I can support? I keep telling you this so that I can be helpful because I went to do some training. The working, this child had on bedroom slippers, a
Mhm.
bonnet on her head, and I was like, "You work like this?" She was like, "Yeah, they don't bother me. I just do what I'm supposed."
and here's the thing is that we care about people that don't look like us will not care. They're just like,
Yeah,
okay,
they just talk about us like a
we
dog.
we see these people as our aunties, our cousins, our nephews,
Mm,
our people that are in our family that just need a wake up call, right?
yeah.
Or need support or need love, right? And so for us, it's it's different, and that's why it, I am still trying to figure out how to get to people at a certain age, and I need
Mm,
answers, right?
mm-hmm.
That are just like if you're 21, 22 years old, you still don't have your life together. Like, how do you help them understand, like, take this opportunity, get this help, get this support? Like, how do you mentor or support them so that they can get back on their feet in a way that that we would like to that we like to see them to be so they could be living their best life, be
Mm,
productive members of society, as
mm,
opposed to just trying to like figure out different schemes that can get them caught up in trouble.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
we struggle with that because we've been indoors and I've been indoors. Oh, try this, try that. Oh yeah, I'll look at it. I'll look at it.
yeah. They
Look at
can't.
this.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's like I'll look at it. Look at it. It's like, oh, how do I motivate you? Do I need you like? I don't know if I'm the right person. Am I the right person? You need somebody to look.
Let's start with trying to figure out if they can actually read and
Read.
comprehend what they're
Yes.
talking about. J.I., I don't know who you are, but listen, they said the explanation of proposal number 2 wasn't extremely clear. And she or he says a portion of the money goes to the housing trust and the others into the general fund, which allows that portion to be used for anything. Okay. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, okay. And I'm reading that now.
yeah, yeah. You seeing it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm reading it now.
Marguerite said, "This is the kind way to say stay in your lane, Dr. Phillips." Alexandra said, "You're in the room with her." Let me tell you something, Alexandra. It's easier said than done. Trust me when I tell you. Just hold on.
Yes.
Andrea says, "Does the
Yes.
housing fund money sit in the pot next to the soda tax? Sit
Oh
in the
my
box next to the
God.
soda tax money? We want to know
Oh
where
my
that is
God.
spent to."
What is this? Listen. I'm not
The
gonna lie.
soda tax money.
I was not. I've not been a fan of the fact that sometimes the soda tax money did not go 100% to what we wanted them to, but it was a good percentage of it did go to it. To the rec centers, PHL pre-K, which is free pre-K for kids. But under the Kennedy administration, there were times where it was like, why isn't 100% of this going to what it's supposed to go to?
Right.
Um, which is problematic.
Yeah, so Laverne says, "Good morning. The parents really can't read. Some of my parents are not readers or can comprehend. I can't get them to get their children evaluated. This applies to the grandparents as well. I am now looking for creative ways to offer support to the parents. I can't even get them to come to parent cafes. Jesus. Oh God, there's
And
a lot going on.
that is the hardest, that is the most disheartening thing, where you like put together food and you put together fun stuff, and you can't get the parents to come out to something. That is a challenge in our city, is that level, that this level of apathy. I mean, it's making me what's going to happen is, if we don't change this, 14-15% of the people are always going to side of who our leadership is. And then you
That part, because they're going in there. If you can't comprehend how you're going to vote, like again, it all comes back to the school system. I'm going to keep
Mhm.
drumming this. I'm going to keep drumming this because we're
Are we
complaining
gonna,
that people
speaking
are.
of the school system, are we gonna be okay, Andrea, when the school district proposes that some schools are gonna have to be closed to and consolidated, basically? They're gonna consolidate schools so that they can fix and create a brand new school. That's just gonna happen. The whole idea is to create to take away maybe a school or two, and then migrate all those kids from those schools into one school, so you can make one big, brand new, gigantic new school building, because you can't afford it from the state. Some people are going to be very upset
No,
about
dude. So sounds nice in
it.
theory, but all
Yeah.
these people are coming from different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
How do you have those? You see what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
so let's say the children coming from East Oak Lane is mixing with the children coming from West Oak Lane, mixing with the children coming from North, mixing with the children. Do you understand that these neighborhoods are incredibly different? How are they going to navigate and manage that? But they're
And
thinking about the money and the funding, but who the hell are thinking about the children
yeah, that's true. That's true.
and the
That's
teachers that
true.
keep getting them, passing them through? The educators who are actually doing their work and doing it well are getting children in the ninth, 10th, and 11th grade that can't read.
They cannot read. They cannot read. And I'm trying to figure out, why can't they read? Is it because the classrooms are too big in kindergarten and first grade?
Mm,
Do we have bad teachers? Is it the school building that's not up, equipped? And but it's like, they need to learn how to read, and they can't read. They can't get it from their parents, because sometimes their parents don't know how to read, right? And so, honestly, if your kid doesn't know how to read, it's more than likely your parent is not a good reader either.
right.
Okay, so
Which is so important. Monica talked about helping to pay for childcare, etc. My husband and I are doing the same thing. We're like, all right, we know you're in private school, but the oldest grandchild, and so we help each year for that, and copy, paste, and repeat. We help with different things that they need. As grandparents, we're going to have to continue to support. They're not going to be able to raise these children by themselves, and
they
each
cannot. They
every week.
cannot.
Every week that I go in, the first my granddaughter Pace, read, grandma, and she brings a book. And if I finish reading the book, all three of them are sitting there. I'm reading to them, right? Show me the eggplant, show me the pot, show me the socks, show me the. This is how children learn how to read and how we help parents. But if the parents can't do it, and if the grandparents can't read, and the parents can't read, how do we get to another place?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
help me,
Yep.
y'all. Because
That's
copy
real.
and paste are turning 3 soon, and guess where they're going? Preschool. Straight from
Preschool.
daycare into preschool.
Yep. And now kids are not going to know how to write because of Chat GBT. So everything.
Child, let's
Hey,
discuss,
and
shall we?
by the way, I didn't even know about that until one day before my dissertation was due. I'm
but
like,
we
what is going on? I didn't know. People are not writing in this world.
and you can tell when it's chat GPT because whatever you put in is what comes out of it, right?
Yes.
So It is. You still have to learn how to write. I write. I write stories all the time on social media. I put the beginning of the story. I give them the meat in the middle, and I'm hoping people will catch on. Right, that this is how
Right.
you write a story. You don't just say husband and I went out to such and such the other day. The end. Like people don't know how to write.
Oh, not a right, not at all. Well, thank you so much.
Oh
I'll see
Jesus.
you next week.
Yes, sir. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
All right, take
Wait,
care.
city
Bye bye.
council is ending on June 12th.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, okay. So we'll
All right.
talk. We'll talk more about the budget hearing. He gone. Um, Lena says, how are they going to get there if they cut the bus routes? It's a lot going on. Tiffany says some parents have to work, they can't get off. It's a lot, right? And so we have to we have to figure it out. We just have to. Tammy says that exact same combining of schools is part of why King is in the shape it's in now. Remember when Nutter and Height did that? Yep. Laverne says, Tiffany, I do all I can to accommodate my parents. I rescheduled the kindergarten registration over and over. Mom said I forgot and laughed and never rescheduled. Wow. Andrea says, is he saying that's why they're letting MLK fall apart? Do they want to build new? Isn't there an abandoned school property on the opposite side? Let me look for the capital facilities plan. King was worked on. King is a huge uh King is huge, right? Hold on. Okay. I just want to make sure. On Instagram, they only allow me to do it for an hour on my page. So I just want to make sure and it isn't there. Laverne says, Lena, a lot of them take Uber everywhere. Broke but have money for Uber. Jesus be offense. Marguerite says reading is not required. My son worked at McDonald's during high school. There are pictures of the food on the register because many employees can't read. But how do they apply for the job? They don't rather do a written application or do they just interview? I don't understand what's going on. Donette says preschool is so important. I agree. I absolutely agree. Um, and Laverne says now with many being on the spectrum, communication and reading is made simple. Ooh. Monica says, child, chat GPT, help us, Lord. Let me tell you, y'all hold on. Y'all hold on. People are just not writing, they can't write. And they just put in basic prompts. And it spits out basic stuff. That looks good to them, but it's another time story for another time. Listen, I will not be on the air on Monday. Monday is Memorial Day, and I'm taking off Tuesday for my mental health. I don't know when this funeral is going to be, but I will see you all next Wednesday. Enjoy your Memorial Day. Spend good time with your families. Be safe. Figure out ways to smile and do what you need to do. And don't let stuff stress you. This episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.